Thursday, August 15th, 2019. Bitcoin breaks a month-long trend line, and I think the next stop is $7,500. Let's dig into our indicators and see what they're telling us on today's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin. I'll replace my little intro jingle in a bit, but first we'll slide by the disclaimer because this is just market observation, not trading advice. Be sure to follow Intro to Cryptos on Twitter. We have some updates on our crypto alerts going out there. Now let's jump into the chart. We're looking at potential for this long-term trend line seems to have broken. Now you can move this trend line around different places, so it's kind of subjective. But as we zoom in on this, we're going to see how the prices have come up and touched against that trend line. Let's clear off my arrow and zoom in on this chart before we get into the indicators. So just looking at the technical parts, the prices come up and touch the bottom side of that trend line. And if it makes a top formation and weakens off here, that's pretty bearish. So I want to go through the charts here today to see what they're telling us. Let's go back to the weekly view, and on this chart we're looking for the relative strength index. And as we saw in yesterday's episode, we were watching for this. Is it going to break down lower, or is it going to give us a tick higher? And unfortunately it's given us a breakdown lower, unfortunately for the bulls, as far as I can see here now. Now in the long term, I've been looking for this trend line. Let's see if I can draw this. This trend line, I've been waiting for the RSI to come back and test that trend line and come back up, because in the past we've seen these trend lines in the weekly view, and I'm anticipating that we should see something similar happen here, where it's come back and tested the trend line and stopped and hovered and then came back up. Now we have a really important level for this to come back to. Let me clear off all these, because that's the same color as the indicator. So as it's coming back to these levels now and touching this trend line, we'll be watching for that important moment. Now let's clear this off and go into a shorter time frame. Here we are looking at the weekly RSIs, looking bad, and those are 3 reversal wicks on the candles. We didn't see any of those on the way up, so it may be that we're not going to continue going up on a parabolic move yet. We may need more downside. And as I finished off yesterday's episode with, when we were in 2017, through this period in 2016 to 2017, the alts all got crushed all the way up here as Bitcoin was going up from $250 to $1,000. And then it came back. And as it came back and started to go up here until July, altcoins also went up. Bitcoin was going up and altcoins were going up. There was a reversal of Bitcoin dominance right at this time, and Bitcoin dominance slid way, way down as Bitcoin was going up. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance later in the episode and see what that's telling us. Let's zoom into the daily view of the RSI. So we do see a continuation of our, it's a bit of a divergence. It's the lower highs, so it's not too strong. Now that the RSI has come all the way back to these spots, we have a new place to be looking and zooming into. If it's pulling up off of here, maybe we are going to bottom off of this support and resistance level. So the RSI on the daily is going to be important. If it's breaking down below these levels, that's not good for the bulls. And it would be a good idea to be considering a short position or stablecoin if that's your options. So that's the daily view, not happy. Going to the 12-hour view, and it's pretty oversold, but not that deeply oversold. We've been much more deeply oversold in the past, so it still has more room to go down to a deeper oversold level before we hit a bottom that may turn up. Now we've hit all these on the uptrend. That's as far down as the RSI went. I mean, yeah, the RSI on the 12-hour, that's as far as it went, and we're a bit deeper than that. So again, watching for the RSI to break these levels or not. So we've got a couple different things here on the daily and the 12-hour time frame. We've got some really specific patterns to be watching for to decide if it's going to continue breaking down off of that trend line that we were looking at. On to a closer term view, this is hit a pretty good oversold level. That's pretty good all the way along. That's deep. From from everything we've seen, that's a really deep oversold level on the 4-hour time frame. So should this create a bottom formation or come up a little bit, that's okay. But often the RSI will bounce up a little bit, and then it's got more room to come down into a lower level as prices are dropping. So we'll watch how this plays out. I don't know. In the 1-hour time frame, okay, we've got a divergence here that looks positive, where we've got, and I was looking at this yesterday, talking about how to play the pullback to see if this was the place that the pullback was occurring. Maybe this is the place where the pullback's occurring. That's a pretty clear break of the RSI down trend line. Now we'll watch for this to hover and see if it's going anywhere. Breaks above these levels on this will probably match what we're seeing over on the longer term RSIs on the daily and the 12-hour time frame. So those are going to combine together now. We're looking at the 1 hour, and we are going to match those with the 12-hour and the 1 day. But we're seeing if it's showing weakness here, that's not good. We may not have to look for those correlations for very long. Just a quick look at the 15-minute. Yes, pretty similar to the 1 hour actually, except that it went to really overbought and then it's played back. No, I can't really do anything with this. Now it's fading as we're talking here. So let's go on to the next indicator and capture this data as we're going past it. Here we are looking at the weekly view of the on balance volume. So we got weaker all the way along through this top, same as we've been seeing for the last while. On the daily view, we've got some red over here on the very right hand side. That is more selling than buying. Well, obviously, price is going down. And also, I want to again point out the divergence in the prices here. Not the indicator I wanted, but that's okay. We see that the price was coming down and the volume was not as strong on this buy here on that run up. Go zooming in. So we've got a few people joining us on the chat. Good to see. Hey, Joseph. Good to have you along. Let's continue on here. We got some oversold territory on the 12-hour time frame. Big oversold here. So that really verifies the top that we're going down here. We don't have a turnaround enough at this on the 4-hour time frame. 1 hour time frame, dump, dump, dump. No turnaround to positive, even on the 1 hour time frame. So this is not a bottom here. As far as I can see here, we've got a lot of dumping. We've got some buying here on the 15-minute time frame, but is that enough to stabilize it? So far, not getting that feeling. Let's go on to the next indicator and blast through these now. We're looking at the MACD indicator for the weekly view, and this one has been something I've been watching closely to see if we're going to see a pullback like this where it comes and touches, but then pulls away, pull back, and then pulls away. The thing is, the histogram stayed positive all the way along here as we were going up. Now we can see the histogram has still stayed positive, but this is so close to crossing over, and it didn't do that before in the uptrends. A crossover on the weekly means we are not going to continue up. For me, we're not going to continue up on that parabolic trend. So let's see, those 3 weekly reversal wicks with this is looking pretty weak. Now the daily time frame was also pretty key in the MACD indicator. We are watching for a similarity from this pattern long before it started to play out. As this was going up, we were already watching for that, knowing that if this crosses over at the current time frame, we are very likely to see some deep pullback like this. And I'm watching to see if on that deep pullback, we're going to see that Bitcoin dominance start to shift. And as Bitcoin does continue back up, Bitcoin dominance is going to slide and all of the alts will continue mooning. We'll see how that turns out over time. But as we zoom in on this, we can see that was a clear crossover and it's lower crossovers here as we're going. So that's definitely a bearish divergence and was setting up and telling us that in advance. This is why, I don't know, a few episodes ago, we were targeting the $10,000 range, and it has come to be. Next indicator I am much more excited about now. I've been poo-hooing the Ichimoku cloud and not really believing in it and sort of saying, look how it's not saying the same thing as these other indicators. I don't know. Now let's go through this, and I'm much more excited about it. So on the weekly view, we still have lots of room for it to pull back and continue up. No worries there. For a long-term trader, that's okay. On the daily view, we can see that we are coming very close to the blue line crossing over the red. We already have a twist to the negative. We have the 1, 2, 3 top formations setting up. And we already have, where'd it go? I can't see it. The green trailing line, did it cut through? Yeah, it cut through both the blue and the red. So those are many negative things going on here that aren't completely finished yet. That's telling us more down is to come, especially if that blue line crosses the red as we're coming out of the cloud like this. Probably got more downside to come, which is why I'm anticipating the $7,500 range, which is in this area, support and resistance from the past. And it would be a pretty deep pullback from where we just reached up to. Like, that's a 50% pullback. 50%, which is a pretty standard. Oh, I don't have my Fibonacci set up. The 50% Fibonacci is a very standard pullback. After a run up, it comes back to the 50% level, consolidates, and runs up. And it hits support and resistance perfectly. Not a bad target to be watching for. I'm not sure what's going to go on with the alts, but we'll check those in the next live stream over on the Intro to Cryptos stream. Let's go over to the 12-hour view now. This is where it starts to get better. We do have a little cross to the negative. It is crossed to the negative here. The green line has almost crossed through both the red and the blue. So this is setting up to be more negative, but not quite yet. It's pretty close. Same as the 1-day view that we just finished. Now let's go into the 4-hour view. Now the 4-hour view, I reviewed the video and we could see that it was giving us advanced warning of this, and I was looking for more bullish signals, especially right through this period here. I was watching through and looking for bullish signals and then poo-hooing the Ichimoku cloud because it wasn't giving me bull signals. Fail. Look at this. It crossed over here. The green line went through the blue and the red already. We already had a twist to the negative. Everything was telling us ahead of time, and then it manifested. So recording it and then coming back and reviewing it and going back and reviewing the recordings is amazing for training so that you have questions answered. For me, look at the way the Ichimoku cloud came through. Even though it blasted through this, I was not really accepting that this was as bearish as it was. And then as it came into the cloud and broke through, this is a sell signal out of an Ichimoku cloud. This is a sell signal in a downtrend. It's a beautiful sell signal, and I didn't give it the weight I should have. So as it's coming down, even as we're getting down into here, we were looking for a bounce in that yesterday, for me anyway, and that was clearly an error. But now I trust the Ichimoku cloud, a whole new degree of respect for the cloud here. Let me now go into the 15-minute time frame so that we're zooming in to see what it's telling us, and clear that. There's more sell signals in the downtrend. I think that was pretty much yesterday, right when I was looking for, is this the 1, 2, 3 bottom and a takeoff from here? It was touching the cloud and then pulled back. So more information to teach transformation. Here we go. The green line is crossed through. The blue line is crossed through. We've twisted to the positive. Maybe this is some support. In the other indicators, I'm looking for the negative. But as this manifests a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here, 1, this is the number 2. It's come back to try to retest to go lower. If it fails and then comes up and breaks these areas, that gives me a more clean signal to the upside now. Other than that, it's gray, it's neutral. I can't take a trade in here while it's floating around in the middle. It has to come to a consolidation and break above a specific pattern. And this would be a good one if it were to do that. So let's watch for the next couple of days to see what is happening out of these indicators. We got a lot of downside signals. We got some upside signals. And it's all going to match, maybe, it'll match what's going on here with the Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance, even though Bitcoin was sliding, Bitcoin dominance went up, which means that the alts were sliding even more than Bitcoin. And I wasn't expecting that. But now we have a 1, 2, 3 top formation here. Here's our mini 1, 2, 3. Here's our larger 1, 2, 3 formation that broke right here. Now we could, like if we were selling, we would be able to sell there on my trading system, or we would wait for it to come back and retest that area, and on weakness we'd be able to sell. So there's still room for this. I can trash that. Good. So there's still room for this to give us some action and some signals, but if it's breaking above these levels, there's more time to wait. If it starts to fade back from here and the alts are starting to take off, this is going to be really important. And right now, if I go over to our crypto signals page on intro-to-cryptos.ca, you can just click on alerts. And on this sales page, you can scroll down. You can put your email in here and get a free PDF report of our alerts. So you start to see the format that we go through here. You can learn more about what we did in our alerts package over the months when we had some movements in the altcoins. And you can scroll down further to see which coins that we're currently holding right now that are profitable above 5%. So we're holding, let me see where that one go. Binance markets. We have 19 markets on alert, and we have 13 markets in hold status. 54% on dusk. We see most of them are in a little bit of a profit, even though everything is all pulled back. Some of them have pulled back to 2%, 4, 5, 6%, a little bit of a drawdown. So they're above the buy signal, but still not getting kicked out with our stop loss. We'll see how these play out over the next while, and you can follow along with those over on intro-to-cryptos.ca. And I'll close up with an invitation to send you over to the homepage of intro-to-cryptos.ca, where you can sign up for a free chapter to my book. It's the core trading plan that we watch. It's the core method that I use to trade cryptocurrencies from zero to up to $500,000 at that peak back in 2018. Now everything's all come back since then, but it's time to get ready for the next bull run. So that'll wrap it up for today's episode. Let me see who's in the chat if there's any questions here. Hey, Peter, haven't seen you around in a while. Good to have you here. Crypto bullcoin. I took it at $10,000, but the stop loss was triggered. It's a pretty sketchy moment right now in Bitcoin. For me, it has to consolidate now and mature a little bit. We do have a 1, 2, potential number 3, but while it's in between this range, there's nothing to do. For me, it's important to do nothing. It's important to wait. And if it is starting to break higher and all the other indicators start to give me some juice on that, I still may not want to buy on the breakout. I may want to wait for it to come back and then buy on strength after it's coming back to retest those levels. Just because it gives me more of a feel that the tide has changed direction and it's not just a wave coming up the beach. Because you've seen the Beatles running forward and backwards on the beach as the waves are coming up and down. Everybody's doing this in trading as well. Wait for it, my thinking. Can I check XRP? I will, but not on this stream. I'm going to do that over on the Intro to Cryptos stream. This one's strictly BTC. So I will sign off for here and see you guys on the next episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin. Where is my... There we go. I just want to sign off with this thank you note, and I'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.